Welcome back to Streamline Investigations. It's an update by Ali Harris. People, I've got more to say on this case as well. After Ali, let's get straight into
It's
this.
Ali here. Hope everybody's safe and well. Just an update from Channels 10. This is the first time I've heard from them. 10 News in Australia. Here we go.
Missing boy Gus Lamont in remote South Australia. Authorities have revealed they will restart the search, this time in another part of the property where he disappeared. Brianna Boylan has more.
The Australian Defence Force will tomorrow join police to scour an expanded zone on Oak Park Station where the 4-year-old was last seen playing 2 weeks ago. That property, 40 kilometres south of Yunta, was extensively searched as hundreds of people took to the rural homestead in hopes of finding little Gus alive. However, after a week with no trace of the little boy other than a footprint in red dirt, the hunt was called off. It's hoped this new area will provide answers to Gus's mysterious disappearance. His devastated family is still assisting authorities with the investigation. But after more than a fortnight without food and water, they are aware it's unlikely Gus will be found alive.
Welcome back to part 2, Streamliners and Public. Police resume search for the missing boy Gus in South Australia outback. So South Australian police and ADF personnel will resume their search for missing 4-year-old Gus in South Australia mid-north tomorrow. In a statement, South Australian police said they would resume search activity at the family's isolated and undulating sheep gazing station about 33 kilometres south of Yunta. The search will involve police and ADF personnel will concrete on an expanded area outside of the zone already searched extensively following Gus's disappearance on Saturday, September the 27th, police said. South Australian police last week continued conducting searches of the family property using a special drone with infrared capabilities. But despite hoping for a miracle, they had already announced they were scaling back the search, which they described as one of the largest and the most protracted they have ever undertaken. Police previously said they suspected that Gus had wandered away from the property and said his family have described the boy as quiet but pretty adventurous child. The family sheep station is located about 350 km north of Adelaide and spans around 6,000 hectares. In the statement released today, that's pretty big. Today, police said there had been regular and close engagement with Gus's family, who continue to assist with the investigations. But it seems like they didn't want anyone that wasn't police on their property, not even basically the media. While hundreds of police, community and SES volunteers scoured the ground for clues, only a single footprint with a very similar boot pattern to what Gus was wearing when he went missing was found during the initial search effort 1. The search also included a tracker as well as the police helicopter drones, water operations teams, plus cadets and the ADF. After Gus's disappearance, family friend Bill Harbison delivered a statement on behalf of the boy's family. He said that the family was devastated and that they missed him more than words can express. This has come as a shock to our family and friends, and we are struggling to comprehend what has happened, he said. When he vanished, Gus was wearing a grey sun hat, light grey long pants, boots, and a blue sleeve t-shirt featuring a yellow minion character. Since his disappearance, numerous locals have lent a helping hand during the extensive search efforts, including former neighbour and tracker Royce Player. Police have encouraged members of the public only to trust reputable sources like government agencies where images are published online. Police said future media updates about the search for Gus would be conducted in Adelaide rather than the family private property. And to be honest, we've got to keep up with the news, people, at the end of the day, because I don't really want to go off track on this case. I believe some of the clues may be around the house or very near to where Gus went missing. around the sheep farm stable. So let's just wait until he wants to. I'm sure they will find some clues because it's weird. Either that he would, if they don't find anything in the house or around the house, then I think he was probably taken by car. Let's move on to see what some sleuths are saying. We'll move on to just to see what some of the public and obviously these other sleuths have saying and people talking about missing Gus. It's very important we just pick up information. Here's my absolutely heartbreaking theory about what may have happened to little Gus Lamont Clarity. And like I said, it's just a theory. Let's get straight into this.
Aerial image of the property little Gus Lamont disappeared from. And I'm going to attach it to this post. But I just wanted to express a few things to you guys first, that through looking not only at this aerial image, but through my own knowledge of that area, like it's been many years since I've been out there, but places like that just don't change. And while it's just a theory, it's incredibly plausible based on the extensive research I've done into the whole property, into the area, the knowledge I have from having previously been out that way. It's extremely plausible, and it hurts my heart because it could just be something so innocent, and for it to potentially pan out the way that I think it might have, it's awful. But my theory, it makes sense as to why he's gone undetected. Now, in outback South Australia, there's a lot of animals that burrow. The big wombats out there, they make these things called warrens, and they can go on for, say, 30 metres in length and be multiple metres deep. Now, if little Gus has been standing on one of them and it's collapsed, they wouldn't even know that it's there. The whole thing would collapse, and all that would be there is loose soil that goes on for metres in depth. And having taken the dogs out there, they wouldn't have had the right dogs out there doing the search because they were looking for a living person. If he's fallen down one of those sorts of burrows, he wouldn't have survived it. And taking search and rescue dogs out to look for someone who is no longer living isn't going to work properly. So they needed to take out the human remains dogs, I think. And it's heartbreaking. Honestly, it is, because the poor kid, if I'm right about this, hopefully it could potentially bring closure to his family, but hurts my heart to think of that happening. I can't even imagine what that poor kid would have gone through, regardless of if I'm right or not. But yeah, that's my theory anyway. Could be right, could be wrong, who knows? But I think that a search with the correct sort of cadaver dog or human remains dog needs to be done. But I mean, with the wombat warrens, they have pretty distinct places they put them. They like to put them above, say, water level, because they try and avoid flooding. I don't know. I'll show you a picture of what one looks like, and you can see just how easily it would have gone missed. You wouldn't even notice there's anything underneath the ground. If he was sitting on top of there or standing on top of there and it collapsed, that poor kid. Yeah. I'll show you that photo, and I'll also attach the picture of the property he's disappeared from. And yeah, it looks like the sort of property that would definitely have them on it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. But I feel like this one's certainly a possibility.
Interesting stuff. I honestly don't believe, to be honest with you, he'd had fallen into a wombat, one of the holes that they make in the ground, to be honest with you, live under. He may have fallen somewhere which had been unsearched, and they should get the correct dogs, which I think the police will. Sarah says they have just resumed the search. Yes, they have. Sarah, he'll magically appear now. Still something off about all of this. Yeah, the police are looking for something. They wouldn't restart it otherwise. I think the police know something we don't. They resume tomorrow, and it's very near the property as well. And obviously, they're going to search the property. They already had cadaver dogs out there. Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. I didn't know that, to be honest. I thought they only had tracker dogs, not cadaver dogs. No, tracker dogs and cadaver dogs. Brilliant. At least they're doing it now rather than waiting and waiting and waiting. He should be deceased, so it would make sense. But how the birds would have flown over and anything alive, and they haven't seen anything, and he's not there. They had a original tracker out there. Where's the footprints? Well, they found one, didn't they? But they said it might have been Gus's, but not 100% sure. But one footprint, that's kind of rare. So the creator says the weather in South Oz has been all over the place at the moment. Windy and heck one day, pouring rain the next. Then it's all sunshine. I'm amazed that the one footprint was even there, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, that's very, very true. Let's move on, people. Let me know what you think about the wombat hole, should I say. This is by Miss Savannah, who I listened to about this case, who makes some credible points. Let's get straight into this.
Really want to believe that they're doing all they can to find Gus Lamont, and they're doing all the right things. There's just a few gaps that I'm really struggling to understand. And I think that if I did understand them, then I would feel better. So for those that don't know, Gus Lamont is a missing 4-year-old who went missing just over 2 weeks ago in Yunta in South Australia. It was a remote sheep farm. Now, they searched very, very hard for him, in that first week, although they were a bit slow going with the Aboriginal trackers.
Yeah.
And then the search stopped. They said he's unlikely. The advice that we've got is that he's not likely to be alive. It's impossible for him to be alive within this search area. He is not here, so they stopped it. So today, and I don't really understand why they would have stopped it if they thought he might be deceased in the search area, because that would at least give the family some, I guess, closure, and it would also just like clear their name as well and bring, peace and a proper burial. Oh, this is really fucked up. So I think they should have kept looking if they really thought he was there. And then today, right, this is what I don't get, is they've decided that they're going to resume the search. They're going to resume the search from tomorrow. So if they're, and it's not going to be in that original search area, so it's going to be outside where he could have possibly travelled alone. So either they think it's an animal or foul play. That's the only two things that could have happened.
Very true.
And I'm thinking, they must fucking think it was an animal. Because why would they give 24 hours notice and say, this is the area we're going to search, right? And this is when we're going to search it. Why would you, I don't know, lucky I'm not a police officer, because I'm obviously pretty dumb. There was also another, missing people must be hard to find in South Australia, because there's also a missing man called Benjamin, right? He's no 007 looking guy if you search him up, okay? He's no MI5, they can't find him either. Now, he went missing the day before. On the Friday night, Gus went missing on the Saturday. So he went missing 24 hours before. They haven't found him. The distance between the two is probably around a 5-hour drive. Now, there's no mention that these cases are
Linked.
related, and possibly they're not. It's just such a mystery, isn't it? And the police say, "Oh, stop with the conspiracy theories and blah blah blah," but like it's just doing everyone's head in. Like, where is this boy?
He's 4
You know,
years of age.
like this beautiful little 4-year-old boy that just disappears. Like, how can that happen? Anyway, the people that are looking for him starting tomorrow, man, like, just, yeah, all my wishes, and not a prayer, but maybe I'll just fucking, just good luck with everything. And, yeah, and what an honour in a way to just feel like you're doing something and being there. And, yeah, I just hope you have, strength and see things and are able to, I don't know, talk about anything that seems out of the ordinary, or anything that you picked up that might seem totally unrelated. Anyway, that's the end of my rant. I said I wasn't going to post about it again. But honestly, like, I think I understood why they're releasing that information early, why they would be searching that area. What do they think is going on? I'm not. Yeah. Out of my control.
Well, everyone's got their theories at the end of the day, but they must be going back to that area for a reason. But I think they'll be checking areas, and I think they'll be checking around the sheep farm as well, at the sheep station. I think it's very, very important to do that. Some really good points made. I don't think there's a possibility he could have fallen somewhere under the ground. There are a lot of basically stuff that goes back centuries in the ground, which he could have done at the end of the day. But I just don't. I don't know. I struggle to believe where he could have gone. He obviously plays out the front a lot and doesn't go too far. Why would he go missing this time? There's a possibility that something took him, but that's for me, that's a small window that some kind of animal took him, because there would have been some kind of marks or blood or something. If an animal attacked him, or a dingo or a dog or something, you possibly would have heard him screaming and blood. That doesn't make sense to me. It really, really doesn't. And the only thing that comes to mind which makes sense is a vehicle. That's the only thing that makes sense. If he is round the home or falling, and surely the grandparents and the parents would know every nookie and cranny around the sheep farm where he might have fallen or had an accident. Surely they would have checked that by now, or places that he could have fallen and had gone underground, which are underground, or things that are not used, old wells and stuff like that. Let me know what you think, people, because like I said, if they're sort of scaling back to where he went missing, right outside, obviously the front of the house, more or less playing on a mound. Interesting stuff. That's all I can say. But like I said, I don't think he's under the ground, to be honest with you. They could be something that he could have fallen in an accident, had a really bad accident. That's what I was thinking. But if it was round the home, surely they would have found him by now. Let me know what you think, people. It's really, really puzzling, this case. It really is. Once again, thank you, Ali. Thank you for all the new in Streamline Investigations. Public, you're part of the family now. Do tell your friends and family and subscribe. Thank you very much indeed. Take care.